Any old business?
I have one brief item. At work session, we had talked about the police department and the chronic issue with the brick face on the north side of the building. If you've ever walked down that alley, you know that the north side closest to the street has numerous parts where the mortar has literally fallen out. The chief has advised council on numerous occasions, and we discussed at work session the fact that there is a dampness, a wetness on portions of the interior walls. And what I'd said at work session was I would try and get some quick estimates given the fact winter is coming on. The thought was to get 3 estimates, presuming that the work would be somewhere between $4,000 and $10,000 under the Borough Code, where we wouldn't have to put it out for competitive bidding, but we could choose from 3 documented bids. I did receive 2 during that time from work session till tonight. The one was from a firm that does a lot of preservation and restoration work for historical structures, DeGrauchy, and they're very well known and do wonderful masonry work. Unfortunately, the estimate for the north wall front section only was $24,000, which far and exceeds, I think, our expectations, certainly our hopes. I did get a second proposal today from Everett F. Johnson Sr. and Son, Inc., known to us in the Borough. Council has authorized work to be done before, and that particular estimate is for spot pointing on the north face of the building from the second floor window down to the stucco portion, which is the one in need, and specifies that joints in need of pointing would be cleaned and cut to a depth of no less than 1/2 inch. No grinding, that is to say, no taking out of existing mortar would be done, and there would be a coat of plaster put on the cinder blocks, which I'm sure, Bob, you know, are exposed to the weather and the elements on the north side. There would also be some spot pointing on the rear portion of the brick wall, which is the back portion of the police department on the north side. This to be done for a total sum of $3,845.50. The one thing I just wanted to note, council's well aware of it, is that we do not own this building as a police department. We rent it from the Fire Association. We just renewed, I believe, a 5-year term of a lease. So we're talking about preserving function and safety in that north-facing wall, and not looking to restore it to a true historical type aesthetic view or condition. So I bring this to council tonight because I got it late this afternoon. I'm sorry I don't have copies for everyone, but there's some immediacy because if the work is going to be done before the onset of winter, it would take action, unfortunately probably this evening, to accept this proposal, which, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Solicitor, would be less than $4,000 and thus within the purview of council to accept the proposal without any other bids. That's correct. So with that opinion that it is possible, I'll try and answer questions. I did meet with Eric Johnson today, and it's up to council if you want to act on this or not.
I do have a question, and we may have gone over this when we originally talked about this. We don't own the building, but we insure it, or does the fire department insure it?
I'm sorry, the last part?
The insurance. Do we insure it, or does the fire department insure the building?
The solicitor can speak to it, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Paul, but we have basically what I'll call a net lease, meaning we pick up everything. And I guess it's not triple net because there are no taxes as such. We would pick up taxes if there were taxes, but so we pick up everything, including maintenance, repair, or in this case, an exterior piece of work which is important for the integrity, really, of the building. So, as I say, we just renewed the lease. It's been a chronic problem. The chief has brought it to our attention a number of times, particularly in the past year. And again, I apologize for late notice, but this just came in. I didn't circulate the $24,000 one. I thought that might be something that would give Mr. Walker and Mr. O'Malley agita with the budget process.
Could you explain the difference between those two bids? I mean, that's
Yes.
it's a
Sure.
pretty far distance between those.
It is, and what the first one I referenced, the Grouchy, would do is literally grind out the mortar between the bricks. So it would take out all that is deteriorated. And as he explained it to me, the mortar that's there was put in at the time the building was built, which is over 100 years ago. And if you look at the homes, the structures on that street right next to it, they're all built by the same mason. And as he pointed out to me also, the brick has really done quite well over all those years. However, there's a lot of patching which is done in the course of time. Some of the patching is good, some of the patching is bad, but even the original mortar begins to deteriorate. So if you look at that north wall, and I would suggest you do it at some point, you'll see we have patchings of various types. So what we're talking about at this time really is the integrity of the mortar, the old mortar, which has literally particled. And the water over time freezing and thawing has it break down. And what we're talking about doing is trying to preserve function by having the worst parts with it, the soft stuff removed, and basically have it remortared, but doing no more than is absolutely required to maintain the integrity of the brick face. To your question about the difference is they would strip out all the old mortar and they would create an architecturally correct mortar to put in there that historically would have been what was there or close to the original masonry. We're not doing that. It's not a church, it's not a, I don't know, we might do a Borough Hall for that matter, but we're only seeking to preserve function, stop further deterioration, and stop the dampness, the wetness, which the police department is experiencing on the interior walls.
Good, thanks.
So you're asking for a motion to approve, or have you made a I'm sorry.
I haven't.
Did you make the motion yet?
No, it's council's desire. I think the problem is acute enough, and with the onset of a winter, close enough that it perhaps would be wise to act on this. And with that, I'll make the motion to accept the proposal of Everett F. Johnson, Sr. and Son, bearing today's date, to repoint and repair the north face of the police department for the total sum of $3,845.50.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? I've seen the deterioration on the interior wall that's due to this moisture coming in, and certainly the north wall is the wall that gets the brunt of the weather, so it makes sense to repair it.
Does that mean we have to do some work inside too?
I don't know.
The outside work is what's critical. This does not address the inside work. I have not obtained any estimates, but short, that's a long way of saying yes, but we have to stop the condition from continuing, and then we'll deal with that.
Any other comments? Anything from the audience? Okay, if not,